Jerious awoke with a scream, sitting straight up, still feeling the fire from his nightmare all over his body. His body was wet from a cold sweat. His fingers felt about his person to ensure he was not on fire. His breathing was heavy and heart was still racing. The sweat was cold, and yet some of it was still warm. He sniffed at a peculiar odor coming from his body.
"That is urine. You actually pissed yourself,"
Jason said with both humor and disgust. Jerious stood up, trying to stretch his sore back. Humans are fragile, smelly creatures. My back hurts just from sleeping.
"You slept on a cave floor."
Jerious walked to one of his bookshelves, searching for a specific spell book.
"You are terrible at being human. I am truly amazed at the success you have had the last time you were alive. That dream you had was something else."
Jerious scoffed.
"You killed your brother when you were only 10. I've been through all of your memories, and you have got to be the saddest sight I have ever witnessed. You literally have no happy memories. You only lived to your early 20s anyways. What on Corvus compelled you to just push Jeffrey into the oven?"
Jerious found the book he needed. He was in line for the throne. I had a lot of brothers to kill. I was the youngest after all. He carried the book to a table littered with lint, guano, and feathers from several different birds. Jason assumed that these were spell components. Before he could ask, Jerious pushed them off of the table without care, letting them tumble onto the floor. He set the book onto the table.
"Yeah, but killing him still made no sense at all. You ended up not seizing the throne, but killing everyone in the whole kingdom. It truly made no sense or difference to help your plans in killing him."
Jerious began flipping pages. At the time, I believed that I needed to kill my siblings and become king, or at the very least, archmage of Herod. You see, I knew the entire time that what I truly needed was access to the plethora of spellbooks, scrolls, and magical knowledge that Herod had stockpiled. Only the king and the archmage had full access to that. When we discovered the necromancer, I quickly realized a much faster way to get to those books.
"If the books were all you wanted, why then did you attack Babylon next?"
Jerious sighed. He stopped looking through the pages. Listen, I thought I had the patience to talk to you like this while looking for simple spells that I need just to survive, but I don't.
"You act as if I'm just going to shut up only because you're annoyed. Number one, I am always glad to see you annoyed. And number two, I told you yesterday that I can only do 2 things here."
He made a scowl, then relaxed and sighed. I attacked Babylon because they were an inevitable threat. The time it would take me to devise and create the perfect psychic, you, they would have come for me. Also, I'll tell you a little secret since it just became apparent that you haven't figured it out yet. I rarely plan anything.
"You're joking."
Nope.
"But you waited 200 years just to make me!"
That much I did plan. Jerious looked back down to his spellbook. He flipped 2 more pages prior to stopping. Ah, there it is.
"Conjure food and water. I must say I am surprised you have this spell."
I keep every spell. I have spells that are truly and utterly useless.
"Surely there's some use for every spell."
Not human breath. The spell has a singular purpose, if you can even call it a purpose. It changes the smell of any living creature's breath to the smell of a human's morning breath. Originally, I thought that maybe it could be used to negate the breath weapon of a dragon or some other creature, but it only changes the smell.
"Ha!"
Jerious traced the air with his fingers, mimicking the spell in front of him.
"Oh, I can actually see the spell entering your mind. I see what you mean now by comparing it to a bookshelf. You're memorizing the spell twice. Why?"
Jerious ignored Jason as he continued to fulfill his mind with this spell. Jerious said the word while moving his fingers in the practiced fashion. The air swirled about in front of him, illuminating to a yellowish purple. The air compressed as bread fell from nowhere. The brown bread fell onto his open spellbook. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad I made the bread first, Jerious said as he fetched a large empty beaker to place on the table.
What's good to know?
Jerious took a bite of the solid bread while he flipped to the next page. Moments later, the beaker was full of water.
Yes, it would have been humorous to see you drench your book with water. So you now have food and water. Aside from better sleeping arrangements, you are forgetting perhaps the most important detail.
Yes, now what is it?
Blunt as expected. I'll give you a clue. You cannot see it, but it's all around you. Well, not for long.
His eyes widened from the realization. With a mouth full of bread, he exclaimed, "Shit! There can't be much left now." The remainder of his bread fell from his hands and onto the cave floor.
I made that too easy. Next time, no clue.
Jerious ran to a bookshelf and quickly seized a red book. He rushed back, practically throwing this book on top of the other one, with no regards of any potential damage to the book he might cause. The book had hundreds of bookmarks sticking out of pages. He flipped right to the red third tab.
That's a dangerous one. I know you take risks, but this could theoretically cause a cave-in. But hey, the remaining air in here is finite, so you do what you gotta do.
Jerious quickly memorized the spell. He turned to the wall across from where he stood, trying to have enough space in order to not injure himself, yet still close enough to go all the way through. He pointed his finger, taking aim. A beam of light shot from his finger, hitting the wall, destroying everything in its path. A hole was burned into the wall, leading to the outside of this cavernous lair.
Disintegration is such a powerful spell. I must say, I've used similar psychic powers that did the same.
No, you haven't, Jerious corrected.
Yes, I know, the real Jason did. I'm just a copy. Blah, blah, blah.
Jerious turned away from the new air hole. He placed his hand on his chin in contemplation.
Trying to figure out what to do next?
Yes, but mostly just trying to figure out what to do about you.
I'm here until you either die or the real Jason comes to remove me, which you know perfectly well will not happen. Enough about me. I want to talk more about your dream.
Jerious walked to the mirror he placed on the wall. The spellbook from yesterday was still laying on the floor from his fit of rage. He bent down to stand the table back up. With the book back on the table, Jerious flipped to a specific page. What about the dream? You saw what I saw, rummaging through my memories. You know what I know. I'm baffled how you even have questions for me.
You knew that woman. She's not in any of your memories.
She called me Cretan. Check the Cretan memories. She's in there.
I try to avoid those. You say I should look for something specific, yet those memories span the beginnings and ends of countless multiverses.
I don't know if I should consider you lazy or wise for avoiding that. He reached for a box on an adjacent shelf and pulled out an eyeball, examining it closely for imperfections.
You're not going to tell me, are you?
No, but I will give you a clue since you are fond of that sort of thing. She was no figment of my dream. That was actually her. Jeffrey might have been fake, though. I wouldn't care if he weren't.
You make it sound as though she's well known.
Jerious traced the air. Norak, Nuguthia, Naral, Corvus, followed by throwing the eyeball into the mirror. The eyeball did not hit the mirror, but rather passed through it. The glass resembled water. The eyeball vanished instantly.
You do this spell a lot.
Jerious waved his hands. The image on the mirror moved at the command of his hands. Waves of light and shapes rippled through the mirror.
This spell requires more concentration than I originally thought it would. What are you scrying for, anyways?
Jerious made no indication to acknowledge Jason as he continued to search through the scrying portal. He waved his hand from left to right, dismissing an image of aquatic sea life swimming through their vast waters. The next image showed the planet Corvus from space. The Pangea world had a few scattered islands off the coasts. Mountains on the southern and northern portions were gray and brown. Surrounding those mountains were vast forests of lush green. The western portion of the mainland was a dark gray color.
Those swamps, I never explored them. Do you think anything interesting might be there?
This is the last time I'm going to tell you this. You have all of my thoughts and memories at your disposal, Jerious said.
Quite agitated, aren't you, Jerry?
Jerious made a contorted face at the mispronunciation of his name.
Annoyed? How human of you.
Jerious pointed at the center of the continent. The mirror zoomed in on where he pointed. A well-fortified walled city was revealed from a bird's eye view. The city was located in the middle of the brownish-yellow desert.
Why are you looking at Babylon?
To find Dagon, you know this already.
Do you honestly believe that an aquatic demon lord would be in a city in the middle of the desert?
Jerious pointed to the northern portion of the city, to a place within a back alley that even with this scrying device was still dark. The area zoomed in, and it was all black. Do you see something wrong?
This is supposed to be the Psionics Guild. They have protections from scrying. I doubt this mirror will reveal it to you.
You have never scryed upon it, have you?
No. Why?
Jerious did not respond. He waved his hand. The image panned out, showing the full continent once again. He pointed to the edge of the southern forest, where a smaller city was revealed within grasslands. This city had a few guard towers, but no wall as Babylon had. There was a river running through the center of this city. He pointed to a spot in the city that was dark like the last one. The area is completely black, just like the last one. What about this Psionics Guild? Do they have equally powerful scrying protections?
I didn't even know Varus had a Psionics Guild.
They do, as does Laguna.
I suspected the Laguna one. Why does this matter? Scrying protection is not a new thing with psychics, you know.
Scrying protection this powerful is. Here, let me show you. Jerry zoomed out and zoomed in on the eastern coastline to show a port town. Do you see it?
This dark spot around that building is where their Psionics Guild most likely would be. If this is not a natural psychic protection, what do you think it is?
Again, with asking me my thoughts, and you think I'm the human here. Jerious turned away from the mirror. He placed his hand on his chin. His eyes lit up. Why aren't you digging through my thoughts?
It's boring.
Wow, Jason. I know lying's not something new you often do. Now I know why. You're terrible at it.
I can still dig through your thoughts, as you put it. I'm not going to explain why I'm not doing it right now.
Could possibly keep you busy. Your options are extremely finite. The mental voice went silent, refusing to respond. Jerious turned back around to continue scrying. You know, I'll find out sooner or later. He traced invisible lines in the air. Norak Nerguthia Nar Klimo. The mirror's image rippled, then turned black. No image was shown. His eyes widened. Shit.
I do not know what most of these words meant. They were the same ones used when you used the mirror. I look at Corvus, you said Klimo. This time, is the mirror supposed to show us Klimo?
I want to like you, Jason, so I'll swallow my pride and talk to you as humans do. Technically, we are supposed to be viewing Klimo, the city of Klimo to be precise.
Do you believe that telepaths and astral projectors are so powerful that they can block out the entire city?
Some are, yes, but Klimo wouldn't do that. No, I have a hunch as to what this is.
Do tell.
You should know more about psychics than me, so you tell me the difference between each blacked out area.
There is no difference.
I think you understand what I do. To make sure we're on the same page, do psychic powers, even the same power, vary with each psychic who performs them?
Like with handwriting, everyone leaves a psychic signature with everything that they manifest. While it might be difficult to decipher, an experienced enough psychic can tell who manifests the power when it is encountered.
Then we're on the same page. You agree that these blackouts are identical?
Yes.
Can you think of any psychic that is powerful enough to blot out every Psionics Guild and the city of Klimo?
My true self and Alvaro Listo are really powerful, but not this powerful. Maybe the thing that's taken them has bolstered its power through draining them? Dagon.
Dagon is correct. Now we can see a taste of just how powerful he is. I would even go so far as to call him a god. If he can absorb the two most powerful psychics, plus far more.
Something needs to be done.
Agreed. We will need to gather more information. However, before I need to take care of some human needs. Scrying for hours like this has drained me considerably. Jerious consumed more conjured food. He found it bland, tasteless, and boring. Tomorrow, he thought to himself, I will need to eat and drink better sustenance. He cast a minor spell to turn a pile of wood and feathers into a bed to sleep in. Jerious pissed and shat into a bucket poorly. He sprayed urine and fecal matter along the edges of the bucket and wall. He cast his final minor spell to clean himself and the mess his genitals made. He closed his eyes, allowing the temporary oblivion to take over his mind. He felt Jason watching within his mind. An image of brown eyes above his body looked down upon him, filled his mind's eye. A noxious smell roused Jerious. The wretched smell naturally caused him to try to cover his mouth and nose. To his surprise, he could not move his hands to his face. He fully opened his eyes and looked about wildly. What's going on? His fear consumed him. A woman's voice from a dark corner across the room spoke. Fire was too good for you, father. Jerious glanced at the direction of the voice. The wall was not as it should be. The rocky wall had been replaced with a smooth brick wall. Everything was also clean and organized. There was carpeting on the floor. A window was present to the far left. He looked to his wrists to see them bound by metal chains, to which he felt clasped tightly. They were silent due to the amount of strain, and they pulled his arms back against the wall. I'm standing. He noticed that he was not on a bed, but standing, chained to the wall, restrained in a motionless state. Do you like it? The woman spoke a second time. Like what? Jerious asked. This room. Surely you recognize it, she said. Jerious looked around with a puzzled expression. No. Perhaps you might recall the second person you killed. Your brother, Raziel. The darkened spot from where the woman's voice came from lit up from a spotlight turned on. Her face was lowered, still covered in darkness. Jerious tried to look up to the light source, but his neck was restrained. That novice alchemist? Surely you cannot possibly find him worthy of my time. Jerious smiled, his face laughing without laughing. Loth. The woman raised her head up, revealing her horrid facial features to be arachnid. No expression was seen within her 8 solid black eyes, or on her 4 sharp clawed mandibles that extended on the sides of her mouth. Her slender female frame morphed before his eyes. The way she shifted her shape appeared more of a revelation than a magical transformation, as if her spider appendages were hiding in plain sight the whole time, and she merely held her body in the shape of a person. Her legs separated from 2 to 8. The robe slipped off, revealing her naked frame. The large abdomen was compressed, but rose behind her as the long, skinny black legs adjusted, taking their footing spread out before Jerious. Her lower half was quite hideous. The abdomen dripped webbing. She crept forward, moving each leg separately from the other 7. Her upper half was that of a slender woman, with the exception of her hands, face, and nipples. Her hands were both claws and hands at the same time. The fingernails protruded out further than they originally appeared. Her nipples opened and closed in a rhythmic breathing fashion. Green drool oozed from them. She placed her face inches from his. As her face exited the direct light to be in front of Jerious, the arachnic features vanished, replaced with a young, beautiful, ebony woman. She was beautiful in the darkness before him. Her clawed hands exited the direct light to touch his face. They too changed in the darkness, reverting back to the slender, soft hands. She caressed his face with both of her hands, holding him within her expressionless gaze. She tilted her head back. "You always were a clever one, Father. I created all of the old demons, Orcus, Ammon, Grotz, Pale Knight, Dagon, many others, and you. Before, Loth began, you abandoned us, your creations, back in the old universe. We were weak and feeble." She pushed him with her hands, stepping back into the light, making her body appear as that hideous spider hybrid. Her voice became guttural. "Now we are truly strong. Some of us gods. Now, Cretan, you may have engineered the deaths of Orcus, Grotz, and Ammon, but they were weak compared to me. I have half of the abyss at my command and disposal." "You're still weak," Jerious screamed. "Cretan was powerful. We are far more than a god compared to a god. He was the only one powerful enough to make the other gods and higher beings destroy the entire multiverse just to kill me." Loth laughed. "You're no longer Cretan. Besides, you can see I own your soul when you sleep. Drinking that unholy order's a big mistake, Father." Loth pointed to a newly formed shape on the other side of the room. The area illuminated, revealing a young man wearing fine silk clothing, hunched over an alchemy table, mixing concoctions from various beakers and flasks. His back was to Jerious. "Ah, Raziel, I remember you. It was fun the way Jerious was interrupted. The man turned around. "The way you did this?" The man threw the green liquid-filled glass container at Jerious. It shattered on his head. The liquid splashed all over him. His hair was drenched. Jerious coughed from some of it entering his mouth and swallowed into his lungs. No pain was felt, only the cold liquid on his person, dripping and running down his legs. "Ha!" Jerious coughed again. "Oh, you showed me. Now I'm all wet and feel uncomfortable." Loth moved her head out of the light to Jerious once again. "You're forgetting something, Father." She smiled, her beautiful lips pursed up as her hand pointed to another darkened spot in between herself and Raziel. A figure formed as it ran into the visible area. A young armored teenager who just entered manhood burst into the room carrying a liquid container. The wizard's face turned white as memories flooded into his mind. The next scene could not be denied, and Jerious trembled. The young man splashed him with the container, emptying the contents. "Nezron!" Jerious yelled. The restraints holding him still loosened and retracted by an unseen force. The alchemical effect was completed. The moment the liquid on Jerious made contact with the liquid, Nezron splashed onto him, bursting into green flame. The heat seared his flesh. The smell alone was overwhelming. He felt his clothing melt into his burning skin, felt the threads interweave into his skin, and the muscle cool slowly from the fire. He swung his limbs wildly and randomly, his body convulsed out of pain. The burned wizard fell to the ground, twitching every muscle as the fire further consumed his flesh. The pressure swelled. inside of his eyes just before a low pop sound was heard. He saw no more. He knew the pop could only have been his eyes exploding from the flames. Jerious inhaled a deep breath as he sat up in bed, still terrified. His heart raced as he could not control his breathing.
You are hyperventilating,
Jason said. He removed the pillow sheet from his pillow while sweat poured down his face. His breathing was erratic and uncontrollable. He clasped the opening of the pillowcase and, using it like a bag, he hyperventilated into it to calm down and end his breathing difficulty.
You know, I saw that memory of how you killed your brother Raziel before you had that dream just now. You really are a shitty person. He didn't deserve to die like that. And I'm glad that your nightmares are being filled with the victims you created.
If it were... The wizard was still struggling to breathe properly. As simple as me getting what I deserve, I would be fine with it. But you know that isn't.
What? Loth? That spider goddess?
Yes, in some ways, she is a far bigger threat than Dagon. Like she said, she has half of the abyss under her control. Even with those two powerful psychics absorbed by Dagon, I doubt he is enough to stop the Spider Queen. Jerious got up from bed. He walked to one of his bookshelves. On the way, he glanced at his reflection in a mirror. He stopped walking. Turning the mirror, he noticed something peculiar. That does not look right.
What does not look right?
You know my thoughts! He screamed his anger at his mental, unwelcome roommate. You know what I'm talking about, before I even voice the words.
I don't always pay attention to all of your thoughts.
And now I see why. You've been busy in my head. You made it sound as though you were powerless to do anything. This, look at what you have done. He pointed at his head, which was over 1/3 larger above the face.
I suppose I couldn't have hid it forever. There's nothing you can stop what I'm doing, by the way.
What is it that you're doing?
It should be obvious, Jerious. I have altered your brain to have a few extra components, using your knowledge of how you did it to me when I was 10 years old. I did the same to your brain.
Jerious calmed down. He looked at his oversized cranium. Are you saying that I have psychic powers now?
No. I took extra special care to ensure that everything is in no way connected to your cognitive functions. While I can slip in and out of your consciousness, like now, for example, on how I am talking to you, you cannot. You now have a predict gland, an astral gland, a translobular cortex, a telepathy lobe, a cerebral muscle, and the psychic stem you never put in me.
Let me guess, you have full control of them, and I have no control of psychic powers, Jerious said as he turned back to his bookshelf once again.
Correct. Besides, you don't need them anyways. You already have arcane magic and demon magic.
The spell book Jerious desired floated into his hand from the shelf prior to him reaching it, causing him to stop walking. So you have your powers back?
No. The repertoire I once had with all of those magnificent powers is gone. It is with the real me. Also, these neural organs are new and weak. Moving that book just now has genuinely drained me. I could do nothing else for a while.
End of chapter 2.